Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. So glad to see everybody out and about, and things are beginning to get more closer to normal. I want to say good day to all of you, and thank you for being with us today. I want to welcome two of our HESS members today who will be taking leads in this presentation for D2L. Bill Roach, CIO at Presbyterian College, has been there for a number of years, and good friend of HESS, and my good friend, and very proud to have him. And a new face, but hopefully not one that we will not see more often now, Dr. Rob Howler. He is with Presbyterian also, and both of these guys will be speakers today. Along with Andrew Vo. Andrew is with D2L, and our new contact in terms of marketing and kind of user engagement and institutional engagement. We're excited about that. Presbyterian College moved to D2L very soon after we had awarded a HESS E&I contract to D2L a couple of years ago. That RFP team was fairly packed with our HESS member CIOs that had instructional technology background. They had experience in the classroom and also just teaching online. So it was a surprise to us. We'll put it that way. The group that officiated that RFP and the award. When we were going into this, we really thought that it would probably be Canvas, but we found out very quickly, and as Bill and Rob are going to tell you, we found out quickly that D2L was a better value and functionally almost exactly the same, if not better, in many areas than Canvas, but a fraction of the cost. So. I'm very excited to know, number one, I'm very excited to know that Bill and Rob like the product. It's a relief to us, like all schools that we've dealt with, and we've had a number of schools nearly 20 now schools in HESS move over to D2L through the contract, through our partnered contract with E&I. So we're very focused and happy to be working with D2L so closely, and we do. It's one of those software solutions that you get to work with that you really believe in, and I do. I've seen lots of schools love it. Been to their user conferences a couple times. The faculty, staff, instructional technologists love the product. So very excited about that. So welcome, guys. I want to turn this over to Andrew. Andrew, you take it away from here.
Sure. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Really excited to join the call here and talk to everyone and hear some of your questions. So I'm Andrew Vo. I'm the product marketing manager here for our partnership. So that's with HESS, obviously. You know, one of the things that D2L has kind of learned over the years is a lot of.
Yep. Andrew, you can turn on your camera now, as can your presenter group. Sorry, I just wanted
for sure.
Want everybody to see your faces.
So one of the things we've learned over the years is, you know, there's a lot of platforms out there, and breaking through the noise can be a challenge. And what we found is our actual approach to the way that we treat our customers and the faculties within their organizations is actually why we were able to cut through that noise. So, you know, we're not just about a platform or a piece of technology. We do believe that we bring additional value to the table, whether you look at it from a cost value per dollar or the time that it takes to onboard your programs into our system, right? So one of the ways that we go about that is we have a huge team behind us when you work with us to onboard to your go live date, but also continually past the go live date to make sure that your organization is up to speed with everything that you need. And Dr. Holly Whitaker here is actually on the call with me at D2L. So she's really key in terms of really getting us to that stage and making sure that customers are happy with what we do. So she's actually a learning and strategies consultant for us. And I'll let her explain kind of what she does and how that helps. And
Holly, I am so sorry that I missed you on this slide and introducing you. I apologize. I didn't know you were going to be a part of this, but I'm delighted. So I apologize.
Rob, it's totally fine. I'm not worried about it at all. So, like Andrew said, I'm Holly Whitaker. I'm a learning strategy consultant with D2L. And what that means for my job is that I help our clients like Presbyterian College make that transition when it comes to getting everybody on board for a smooth transition. A lot of our clients will not just make that transition from one LMS to another LMS, but oftentimes they're also looking to up level what they're doing from a pedagogical reach and teach sort of strategy. So when you've got one-to-one, it's difficult enough. It doesn't have to be. We help smooth that way by lots of different strategies, lots of different teams to bring to bear there. But my core expertise is really helping entice and excite faculty members about using technology, especially learning technologies, in new and inspiring ways to reach students. So I love working with groups that are interested in not just switching from one technology to another technology, but also up-leveling what they're doing with reaching and teaching at the same time. So that's the stuff I love. Okay, so what's our agenda today? What's our first set of questions today? Keith, are we on track here, or do we need to?
I believe so. Andrew, did you have any questions before?
No questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Excellent.
Kind of dive into the topics here.
Okay. Well, that's super. So basically, what I'd like to know is from our friends from Presbyterian, and you guys turn on your cameras. We want to see your beautiful faces.
Let me see if I can find myself. There we go.
There we go. We can help you with that part, Keith.
Absolutely. Bill, Rob, we are so glad to have you here today, and we're excited about having Presbyterian as a part of this. I just want to kind of ask you some basic questions.
Sure.
First of all, Bill, I'm curious about the adoption. What did you use before you used D2L, and why? What kind of precipitated the adoption of D2L?
Okay. Well, in our previous environment, we were using a hosted Moodle solution, and Rob had been taking care of that for us, kind of as our go-to lead person on that and dealing with the faculty and all that over the years. And the solution was functional, but it didn't do everything we wanted to do. And the company was very challenging to work with as we were trying to migrate into a single sign-on environment and some other things. And they really honestly didn't want to help us. They kind of said, yeah, it should work. And that was kind of where they left it. And so needless to say, it didn't work, and we never got there. And then you guys came out with the contract with D2L, and it was price competitive to where we were at. And you guys had done the heavy lifting for us of doing the RFP and researching. And so honestly, just with our time and everything, we took advantage of that. And so far, I think things have gone pretty well. And I'll let kind of Rob tell you about the actual physical migration of how we did that. And I think our adoption has been pretty good. We've been trying to get the pulse with the faculty and do some more things there. And obviously, as Holly was saying, we'd like to encourage them to do more and to teach in different ways and do new things with the product, because I think there's a lot of options there. And so I think we're still in the beginning stages, but looking forward to more things.
Well, I have a million questions for Rob, but I won't inundate him. I'm curious, Rob, so you came from the hosted Moodle site. Now, there's a lot of our institutions here online today that are either they've got their own premise, their on-premise systems. Some of them are hosted, some of them and it's free like a puppy, right? So
Right.
a very, very expensive puppy. So I guess the question for me and our viewers, I would imagine, is what didn't Moodle do? What was it not flexible enough? And how did D2L fill all those gaps? So that's a big question. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it really is. No, that's okay. I think the biggest thing was frustration with Moodle. There were things that were sort of, now again, we were hosted, so we didn't have as much flexibility as you might if you were self-hosting. But for the most part, it was just a frustration level. Quizzes, for example, were just terrible. Our faculty had nothing but problems with that. Even turning in assignments was one of the biggest complaints I had about Moodle, hosted or not, was the way assignments were turned in. Once an assignment was turned in, it was boom, automatically in the grade book. One of the nice things about D2L is that it doesn't need to be that way. So you've got considerably more flexibility there. The other things I think I'd say about, and I don't want to sound ill of anybody, but we had problems with tech support. We'll put it that way. And it wasn't problems. They just got to be to the point where they were so big that we just seemed kind of a little nuisance almost. They did answer our questions. They did what we needed them to do. It just wasn't very quick, and it was very succinct and to the point. Whereas so far, well, honestly, I haven't had a lot of call to use tech support for D2L so far, but when I have, it's been just lickety split responses. And they've got a great, one of the things I like about D2L is they've got a great Brightspace community is what they call it. And it's a giant wiki / discussion /board / everything you can need. And the nice thing about that is that the D2L employees kind of troll through that every day and will pick up questions that nobody else has been able to answer, that kind of thing. So in some ways, you don't actually need to even submit a ticket. One of the employees will have gone on to the Brightspace community and seen that somebody else had the issue and answer that ticket right there. And I think a lot of the issue that we had with Moodle to begin with, and again, this isn't necessarily Moodle specific, but we had some issues with folks just not wanting to adopt it. They had heard horror stories. And we've got, well, not so much anymore, but our faculty are getting a little older and they're starting to retire. And the new people came in and they had been using Blackboard or they had been using Canvas, and they looked at our Moodle installation as though we were just completely out of our minds trying to use this. So we really wanted to, I really wanted to move into the 21st century, just if nothing else, just for the look and feel of it. Now, obviously, you can do a lot with Moodle, and I don't want to say negative things about Moodle, but it's a lot more work to get things the way you want them to be set. With D2L, with D2L, it's a lot easier to get things the way you want them to be.
Give us an example, Rob. Get just a simple example of what's easier in D2L than something else.
Well, again, I'd have to go back to the gradebook. That's something that my faculty have struggled with just mightily. And we are finally getting away from the point that we have transferred Moodle courses into D2L courses. That first, gosh, I guess it's been a year now. That first year was sort of a nightmare trying to get those translated. But once we did, everything's good to go.
I've heard great things about the grade book. That's one of the major things that I've heard, and enhancements to the grade book just over the last year or so. So it's just,
even more frequently, more recently than that. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that my faculty have lauded. We've also had some issues with recording and uploading documents for our foreign language department, et cetera. And that's gotten to be worked out. Things are going well with that. And it's a really nice feature that we can never really figure out how to do if it's even possible in Moodle. So a French professor might want to have somebody read their homework and upload that recording. Well, it's all right there inside D2L, inside Brightspace. And that's just a dream come true, just so you don't have to record it, work with QuickTime, export it as a certain file, and update it and upload it as a certain file type so the faculty can read it. It just kind of works automagically, so to speak. So there are a lot of good functions to it. It looks 21st century. It feels 21st century, and it's all very intuitive. The nice thing about it, as far as our transfer goes from Moodle to Brightspace, we did, I guess it was over the summer, we did 2 summer semesters, and I had about a dozen faculty jump on board and use D2L, and they all loved it. And we had very, very few problems with it. I mean, the problems we had with it were what you would expect. Just, this is new. How do you drive a clutch kind of thing. So they're really trivial problems that we had. Then in the fall, we basically threw everybody to the wolves, and it was great. We really had few problems. One of the best things about the D2L integration, at least for me, and Penny, our banner tech, one of the best things for me was being able to get that SSO and to be able to get the SIS configuration integrated with Brightspace. That was, there's no way I could have done that personally on my own. So it was great to have the help doing that. And D2L was there pretty much every step of the way. We would get together once a week, sometimes more frequently, sometimes less frequently, sometimes more frequently. And we developed a great relationship as far as putting the things together. I was extremely happy with that.
And many times I've heard that is just many of the SaaS providers, one in particular that I'm thinking, they basically just say, that's your deal. Here's the information that we've got. We don't support you through that, but yeah, Rob, the feedback that I've heard is the same way. Bill, on your side, how has this? You said that the price was comparable to what you were doing with Moodle hosting, but Rob's just said, "Wow, the functionality and the features are just so much better." Can you talk to the budgetary issues? How have you liked that? Has it been sustainable? Is it, using the contract, is it sustainable?
Yeah, so far it's been good. We one of the issues we had before, and that Rob and I would discuss frequently, was we kind of, I guess the way that contract, it was here when I got here, and that contract had kind of been set up, I suppose, with a base level. And so there was constantly adjustments coming through for, we had different head counts, and they weren't actually necessarily looking at actual head count. They were just looking for stuff that maybe hadn't been purged out of Active Directory or something of that nature. Yeah. So, and with the contract being set up for us based on, just our actual FTE numbers or whatever, it's just easier. It's more simple. Yeah. And so we don't get surprised.
That's good. That's good. And it's a long term, you have one of the things in our contracts are we make sure that there's a long-term cap on how much the long-term costs are going to be and how affordable it would be, not only to buy it and implement it, but also to continue it too. So that's got to be some comfort. I'm curious about Holly. I'm going to ask you these questions. Surprise, surprise. But Rob, please jump in as you need to. Can you talk a little bit about faculty and how faculty? Now, I've been to 2 of the what are they called? The D2L conferences. What are they called? Fusion.
Fusion, yeah.
Fusion. One of the things we did before we awarded this contract is I visited Fusion kind of covertly and talked to a bunch of your faculty members that were there. The conference is just filled with faculty and a lot of instructional technologists, but I talked mostly with faculty, and they were just, it was amazing. And that's what kind of got me so excited about the product. It's amazing to hear faculty say, I wouldn't want to use anything else. And if they took this away from me, I think I would just snap. I don't hear that at Blackboard conferences, and I haven't heard them from Canvas conferences either. Now, granted, I've only been to one, but I'm really amazed at that. I'm curious, Holly, what your thoughts are on why that is. Why do faculty like the D2L Brightspace product so much?
Well, I will say this. One thing I did not mention when I was introducing myself was that I came over from the client side. We had gone through a 3.5 year process to finally wind up selecting D2L Brightspace. We were going from 7 different homegrown systems into one, into Brightspace, and 3 of those were Moodle. So, Rob, when you were describing all of the things you had experienced there, I was like, I'm having that sense of like reverting back to 2 years ago, PTSD. But one of the things that I just worked with yesterday with a client was that speaks to your question, Keith, of why faculty members love Brightspace so much. Is we were going through a demonstration from an instructional design perspective, a course experience, student experience inside Brightspace perspective, and the way we approached that was, well, we really want to show 3 different levels. We want to show mild, medium, and spicy. And so it was just that very basic level of, if you only have this level of skill with any kind of a technology platform, here's how you can really deliver an effective, well-designed, good learning experience at this mild level. And if you want to layer on some stuff on top and get to that medium level, here are 3 or 4 tools that you can layer on top of that mild level to get to medium. And then here's some really cool stuff you can do with this spicy level. But it's this idea of, we're enabling you at every step of the way. You're not alone to make this happen. Like Bill said, like Rob said, there's that Brightspace community out there. There's all kinds of trainings that we've made available since COVID, because we know that with that rapid shift to online learning that most everybody made worldwide, I think a lot of people felt really alone. And there's never that sense of you're alone. Even from the technical implementation side, you're not alone. We're not ever leaving you high and dry to go do the thing. And then there's people like me with those value-added services that can really help smooth the way and troubleshoot the adoption gaps you're seeing and that sort of thing. There's that sense of leveling, and you're never alone in order to make that happen, Keith. So I think that's why we have such a fanatical grassroots group of faculty members that are such fans.
Yeah, Holly, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick.
Yeah, Rob, please.
We when the COVID thing hit and everybody scattered and kind of freaked out about everything, we had been with D2L for maybe 3 months, all for our entire faculty. And all things considered, it was just unbelievably smooth. So whatever problems we had, Brightspace would help us, D2L would help us. And even without the help that I didn't ask for, it was so easy to make that transition to online training. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It was a very good transition, all things considered, since we'd only been doing it for 3 months ahead of time.
Well, Rob,
yeah, Rob, it was an all hands on deck effort from us. So
I don't doubt it.
Keith, I don't mean to step on you at all. So go ahead.
Not at all. No, I was going to ask the same question to Rob. Why do your faculty love D2L Brightspace?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Why do your faculty love Brightspace?
Well, one of the things I think is nice is that there is a really shared experience. So I've got some folks who are more interested in online learning than others. The nice thing is that I can have somebody who's more interested, even if he's at the medium level, as Holly said, or the mild level. He can hop on and somebody at the medium level can say, oh, see, well, you can do this. Why don't you try this? And I've got people who have sworn, they've sworn to the death that they will never use instructional technology online. And we've got a lot of people who've hopped on just because of the ease of dealing with Brightspace and D2L. It's just a platform that lends itself. I have a fellow, just as an example, I have a fellow who he swore against hope that he would never, ever, ever use online teaching. And he teaches a couple of courses in silent film. He's deaf, and he teaches a couple of courses in silent film. And he found that the discussion groups were just a wonderful way for him to be able to communicate between him and his classes. And that's the kind of thing that, at least for us in Moodle, was harder to deal with, harder to set up, and harder to understand. Where I explained it to this fellow, I think I went over to his house for about 4 hours one afternoon, and he got it. No, he's a smart fellow, to be sure, but it didn't take much to explain to him. So there's that ease of use, I think, is probably the best thing about, or at least in my experience so far, has been the best thing about D2L and Brightspace.
Yeah, I agree. It really is remarkable. And like I said, from the time that I went to Fusion the first time, I was just amazed by the faculty devotion to the product. In fact, it's something that echoed to me in each one of those sessions was, we are this is our product, that it has been redesigned by us. I mean, even though they didn't do the programming and any of that level of thing, they said, look, these are all the features that we asked for and we got, which I think is just absolutely amazing. It's very exciting. So I'm curious, we were very surprised about with the RFP team. We were very surprised that D2L Brightspace was what it was in the face of the competition, as we all know the competition. They came back, the group came back with a unanimous, look, this is the best stuff, and it's at the right price. And also your offer, in addition to that, included some extras, incentives, I think it's a year or two of the enhanced packages from D2L, just to try them out and see if you like them, which included some items on the student success side, I believe, some analytics type things. Andrew, Holly, would you guys like to talk about those? And then I'd like to see if Bill or Rob are using those pieces into introductory offer through the contract. So.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm not 100% aware of what's in the contract, but
That's
I will
okay.
say this, that one of the things that is really key about that partnership that we love to create with the institutions that use Brightspace is that idea of co-creating the future together. And we always work best with institutions that are very clear about their identity, who they are, where they're going, what kind of student experience they want, because we as a company, we're very clear about this is where we're going, this is the kind of future we're creating. And finding those commonalities, those common points, kind of, you can imagine a giant Venn diagram where we overlap in the middle. The more clear that those institutions are, because we're very clear, it's easier to sow those seeds of the future into that overlap and that bear fruit against your strategic goals. And one of the key ways that happens is through your people and you being part of these advisory boards that we have. There's a bunch of advisory boards about all kinds of topics, data and analytics, different tools, different pedagogies, all kinds of things. And all of that information and all of those interviews and all of that data filters up into our product team. And that's how we ultimately decide these are the features that people want. And we listen to you. We listen in very structured ways, very careful ways. And I feel like that idea of listening and responding is a key cornerstone of any partnership, any marriage, any business relationship, and any long-term vendor relationship as well. So, Keith, I know that I didn't directly answer your question.
No,
I'm going to hand over to
excellent.
Andrew if he's got more information, but go
Yeah,
ahead,
so-
Andrew.
Yeah, so I've worked with the product team a lot here, and obviously dealing with marketing and then dealing with the sales team. But a lot of what we do comes down to understanding the solutions that can be built out. We don't look at ourselves as let's go out there and get a program sold. It's go out there and solve real problems that faculty are dealing with, that technology leaders are dealing with. So when it comes to the migration and adoption, that process is very much in line with the idea that we're trying to fix problems that exist. Now, every institution has different levels of problems that they may be aware of, they may not be aware of. And when we have these conversations, when we have discovery, we really try to get down to, have you thought about this? This is how we would help you with that. And here's how we can go around some of these issues that are currently existing, right? So when COVID hit, the first thing that we did as an organization was, we know there's going to be struggles with a lot of different schools. We're not here to sell anything. We're here to solve problems. And if you think about that, even outside of COVID, that's really what we do. We don't look at ourselves as a tech platform first. We really look at ourselves as an education solutions company. And we have people here who have lived and breathed everything from being a professor, a teacher, all the way up to being a technology expert, right? So, we have experts here that believe in the system, but also give input back to how we can really build something out that's going to truly answer some of those challenges when it comes to adopting Brightspace.
Well, it's very fortuitous that we have Trey Arrington now, who has joined us on video. In fact, he is a very big advocate of D2L. Hey, Trey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How's everybody else doing?
Doing great. Rob turned off his video, I guess,
Just temporarily
to let up on a square. But I know it hasn't been scripted today. But Trey, could you tell us a little bit about your adoption of D2L Brightspace and what you guys are? I think you guys have been alive for 2 years now, right?
Yeah, that's right. So we, at SMC, Spartanburg Methodist College, we never really had a very robust online program. So we had an on-premise, Moodle server that was running. Bill from PC, I think he kind of set that up because he was here before I was. And we didn't really have anything very robust. And so we wanted to start to grow our online program. And that sort of coincided around the same time that we had the D2L contract through HESS and E&I. And, D2L, I would say at the time, D2L was really sort of like the up and comer that was really starting to gain a lot of market share in that space. We were super impressed with the product. We had a handful of faculty that had experience with it. So because of the pricing contract, because of, the good referrals we were getting from our own faculty about the product, it was an easy, choice to implement. And so we put it in place a year before the pandemic. And we were just kind of slowly sort of migrating to it because, again, we didn't really have that big push. It was like, hey, we've got this new system now. We are going to replace Moodle with this. We need to begin that transition. And so the first thing we did was we transitioned everything that was in Moodle into Brightspace. But then when the pandemic hit, thank goodness we had a year of experience with it because we were ready to kind of, spin it up and basically take all of our on-premise classes, make them virtual. And if we didn't have D2L Brightspace, it would have been a tough conversion to make. So yeah, we're very happy with it. It's great as far as integrations go. Even with kind of our legacy SIS that we have right now, we're able to do some integrations there. So yeah, it's been a huge benefit for us, and it's one of those things where it's like we want to find other things that we can use it for outside of just being our LMS. So
that's great. That is great. Hey, Bill, same issues with you. Was it easy migration? Were there tools that were easy to use, that type of thing? And Rob, both you guys.
Right. Like I said, Rob definitely was our hands-on go-to guy for that. But yeah, I'd say for the most part, we didn't have any major things. It's been good. I can't address some of the additional modules. That was one of the questions earlier that we've done because we were not as quick as SMC to migrate in. So we didn't have that year. We had a few months of experience ahead of time. And but overall it went really well. And I think the faculty are adopting. We're kind of going through that process now to get more feedback from them to see what they're looking for and things, now that we're over the hump of having everything done. And Rob's working with them still to see, what do they like? What can we improve? How can we use it better? And then, as Trey said too, some other things that we can do, because I think there's maybe some staff faculty training and some other things that we can take advantage of with it. And that's, again, due somewhat to the licensing flexibility that we have now that we didn't have before with the other product.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can jump in real quick if you don't mind. As far as the technical end of things, the transition was just a breeze. Taking those .mbz files and turning them into Brightspace courses was, I don't want to say it was trivial, but it was very, very simple. It was very easy to do, and our the woman who helped us through that whole process was great. She would help us every step along the way, and still does. Every once in a while, I run into a course that won't convert properly. So from, let's say, 2014, there's something in it that won't convert properly, and she'll just hop on the line with me and walk me through it. And it's been great. It's been very, very simple to deal with.
That is incredible. That is incredible. And the nice part about it is, from on-premise to now, I'm sure that all the updates and upgrades and patches and everything are all done behind the scenes. You don't have to deal with any of that anymore, and that's just beautiful. Absolutely. Well, so Bill and Trey, you guys brought up the aspect of COVID. Of course, that's always in everyone's mind. I'm curious about and Rob, I'm curious about the pedagogical aspects of that. I'm sure, and Holly, you probably worked with 1,000 faculty members that have not ever done any online training, any online teaching. How was that with you guys, Rob, Bill, Trey, Holly? You guys want to talk about how does D2L support the institutions with faculty members that just don't know how? Anybody want to take that one?
I don't mind jumping in first. So one thing that we did is when we kind of started going into COVID, is we immediately, and we had the opportunity because it was the spouse of a current employee, but we had someone that had some deep Brightspace instructional design experience. And so we brought her in as our instructional designer, and that was key. The partnership piece of that with D2L has been that, again, through the HESS E&I contract, we purchased the training package, and that is money well spent. So we've been really impressed with that piece of it too. But when we all kind of had to flip that switch, it wasn't intentional. It was just necessary. And now we're trying to, again, focus on pedagogy and things like that to make everything more intentional now. And so that's kind of our goal going forward. We're kind of, based on what we're learning from our incoming classes, that they're actually, and again, this may be our demographic, they're ready for face-to-face. But we know there is going to continue to be a population that's going to need to be online only. And so that's where we want to do that piece really, really well. So we don't necessarily see a hybrid for our traditional students coming in the fall, but we more or less are seeing like, hey, we know that our demographic, they're going to want that face-to-face, but we also are going to start serving a new demographic now that's going to want that online piece of it. So that's kind of our approach right now.
Our friend, Trey, our friend at Ball State is doing basically the same thing with continuing ed programs. He's expanding. They just adopted D2L, and they're very excited about that. So yeah,
we've got some plans with a graduate degree that we're going to hopefully do completely online, and that's sort of still in the baby phases, but that's still part of the plan over the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, Rob, is it easy to train the trainer? Is it easy to train the faculty on D2L?
Depends on the faculty, but I'd say 90%. I'd say 90%. Yes.
That's a loaded question, right?
Yeah. No, it's very easy to train the faculty. There's some faculty that you have to go things again and again and again, but that's the faculty issue, not a D2L issue. So no, it's been very simple to make that
Rob,
cross.
I loved what you said earlier about, you've got your people who do it really well. They're maybe at that medium level of content delivery or spicy, and they're helping those people and who are maybe not as far along. One of the things that we love to see always is investing a little bit more in those people who are already LMS experts and getting them up to that level of expertise, and letting that waterfall down into those other faculty groups where it's just really comforting for someone who may not be as technologically savvy to be able to go down the hall, sit next to me, tell me where to click. Did I do it right? It just gives that sense of confidence that those folks seem to really need. That I had a friend of mine call me. There was a local junior college that just adopted Brightspace, and he called me. Used to teach with my dad at the local high school, and he said, "Holly, I just need to know how to put together a quiz." And I was like, let me find the right person to like virtually sit next to you and help you. So there's always someone who either physically or virtually sit next to you. I think that kind of idea of train the trainer or having local departmental champions, I think can really help adoption. It just gives people confidence about how they're reaching and teaching, how they want to design their class. Where do I click? How do I set up a quiz? That sort of thing. It's just confidence.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's exciting. I mean, COVID brought up a whole bunch of new challenges that no one expected, just out of the blue. And many of our institutions, you guys all know, many of our institutions are pure liberal arts schools. When I was CIO at Center, and before that at St. Mary's College, Notre Dame, the online learning was the bane of our existence. We thought it was destroying education. And now, of course, St. Mary's, I guess 20 years later, has online master's programs. It's like things have changed. The world has changed. For the campus at UVA, WISE, we actually started a online continuing ed program that was massive. It became massive. So there's so much opportunity in this, and so much opportunity for our institutions, not only to do well pedagogically and being able to teach our students, our normal students, in times of emergency, but also expanding your programs out. So I'm going to kind of stop right now and have just kind of open the floor. Who has some questions? If you want to just unmute your line, or you can type them in the chat. What kind of questions do you guys have for these folks? Don't be shy. Please unmute. Normally we don't have a shy crew. Well, while people are thinking about their questions, how about that? While people are thinking about their questions, I'm curious about the overall issues of privacy and security. It's definitely a FERPA issue to have all this stuff online. Can you guys give us kind of an idea, and also in addition to that, compliance for ADA? Can you tell us a little bit about accessibility and how you comply with that? And in addition to that, give us some idea about data privacy in the cloud and what you guys do there.
Andrea, it might depend on you for that, but I know that when I was on the client side and we went through our selection process, I know that this may not be the angle you want to take, but it's my experience. Our CIO was incredibly happy with what D2L brought to the table from data privacy security perspective. So Rob, I'd love to hear what your experience was in that review process when you were looking at the kind of the guts of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, we're not, as far as the FERPA stuff goes, especially, we've got in our pharmacy school and our PA and OT schools, we are basically, it's all within a course, so to speak, so that we've got release conditions inside a course so that you can do this, you can do that, you can ultimately get your certificate that says that you've done X, Y, or Z, and then that certificate is the only thing that exists on an end user basis. So we don't have to worry about the FERPA stuff outside of that course itself. It's tended to be the way we've handled things. Now that could change since we've now moved to D2L, but that's the way. We could never figure out a way to do it in Moodle. And like we said, with the whole pandemic thing, we've kind of been scrambling around. So we're getting back to the point where we can look further into the future.
Right.
Yeah, just want to add in. So yeah, when it comes to privacy, it's really built into how we design things. We look at that first and foremost from adoption and migration all the way down to creation of content, the data that's in there from using the system. And then if you look at it, let's say competitively or industry wide, we do believe that we are above standard. We actually do often check in with not just the industry and from a technological standpoint, but also what our competitors are doing to make sure that we're not missing anything, right? The key gaps that are left sometimes are when you have new integrations and new partnerships with other technology platforms, you might not have the security that you're looking for originally. So we always want to make sure that we're doing that. And then second to that, when we work with institutions, we make sure that we explain this kind of stuff because not everybody's aware of what it means and how it affects their data. So we always do that. And then even with partners, we talk to them about it. Hey guys, have you thought about this? What are you doing to answer this issue? And then even out of curiosity, we'll often ask them, what's the standard for your specific platform or your service that you're offering, and how do your competitors do that, right? Because we want to make sure that if we're partnering, there's not going to be any gaps there either. So it is a big part of what we do. We always look at it, and we take pride in it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and you should know, everyone should know that D2L Brightspace being used by some of the largest online learning programs in the country. I have lots of good friends at SNHU. They are enamored with the D2L. They love it. So maybe the last question that I have, and this might be for Holly and Rob, is, and Stephen put this out there, which I think is really good, and Christy followed up. What are your training what are your training courses like? What's that training package like? And do you use Quality Matters as a foundation for that? Could you comment on that?
Yeah, I want to take that. I want to kind of disaggregate the question a little bit and talk about training, but first I'll address that Quality Matters piece. We've had several, and I've worked with several groups in the last couple of years since I've been with D2L that are wanting to implement Quality Matters early in that process. So for those of you who are early in that process, this is important. So thinking about getting your folks internally trained up with that Quality Matters certification, that reviewer status, is an important step. So you can perform those internal reviews without having to do, you set up an external reviewer account so they can go in and review that. But I know too that there are kind of some processes associated with setting up accounts for external reviewers, but getting that internal review is probably the most important step you can do early on. And then integrating that Quality Matters rubric with your instructional design practices, but also letting that flow over into the training that you're providing your faculty. So here's this multi-point guidance that we're going to give you, and it flows into that training as well. So that's probably the most important thing I can tell you to do early on. And
Wow.
and then
Sorry,
that
was my
like
wife's
what I was
ringtone.
saying on that
Sorry
question
about
is
that.
totally fine. So then in terms of the training piece, there's lots. I hate to be kind of fuzzy there. There's several different training packages that are available. There's some independently self-paced pieces that are part of the Brightspace community. Then there's also the training where we have a D2L expert kind of virtually sit next to groups and walk them through these the use of Brightspace tools. Now, these are Brightspace experts. They may not be pedagogy experts, but they can certainly tell you where to click. They can talk about why, but ultimately it's up to then the faculty and the instructors, your instructional designers, your teaching and learning team to help carry that torch forward and embody that.
Yeah, and I have a follow-up for that, Holly. Fortuitously, we have a new contract, a discount offer from a new contract group for HESS and E&I called Slalom. And Slalom will be presenting on Friday, in fact. So if you don't have an invite for that, please shoot me an email message, and I will be glad to send you the invite for HESS. Basically, Slalom does this. That's all they do. They are platform independent, but they teach faculty and instructional technology people. They teach them how to create pedagogically sound coursework, sound content, how your on-campus stuff actually translates to on online things, and they have some of the best faculty and ex-faculty members in the country training. Actually, it's a global operation, but training some of the best institutions in the country, like Brown. I think they've done some work with Harvard, Penn State, a number of just major institutions, and they're going to tell you on Friday what they do. They're platform independent. They won't teach you D2L. They will teach your faculty and your train the trainer type situation in how to build pedagogically sound coursework. And that's exciting too. Before we get off, and we're almost out of time, I do want to address one thing about cybersecurity. Christy, thank you for the question. So one of the aspects of D2L is, and we're very, as D2L folks know, we work very closely with the Internet 2 folks. Internet 2 has what is called the HECVAT. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what that stands for. And basically they go through the HECVAT assessment tool that basically goes through a ton, I think 230 questions about cybersecurity, privacy, encryption, all of those things. D2L is a peered client for Internet 2. So they have to go through the HECVAT. And so their entire contract really connects back with those standards. So that's kind of an answer, Christy, to your question. Do they really measure up in terms of cybersecurity? They do, because they're a peered company, which means they are connected directly to the Internet 2 research network. So they have to adhere to standards to be peered on that system, on that network. So it's pretty extensive. So
yeah, there's a whole sorry Keith,
go ahead. No, please.
There's a whole program. Again, it's not about meeting certain check marks to make sure that, it's on our website, we're okay. No, there's a real extensive program built out to make sure that everything is secure, from the environment all the way down to how we monitor things, access to the system, data transmission, and then obviously things down to like how we back up and secure things. So it is a big program. The partnerships are key, and we make sure that we're not missing any areas.
Yeah, absolutely. We're almost out of time. I want to thank our guests. I want to thank our host here, Holly. Great to see you again. I'm so sorry I missed your name on the slide. Andrew, I'm going to blame that on you. No,
okay. But not a problem. Not a problem.
And Bill, Rob, as always, thank you for being such wonderful partners for HESS. Our institutions really do appreciate it, and we've got lots and lots of exciting things going on. If you have any questions, or you're an instructional designer or instructional technologist that is on today, or a faculty member who wants to be on our mailing list for future webinars, we try not to spam you, but sometimes I fail at that. But my email address is online in the chat. So please grab that, shoot me an email message, and I'll make sure to put you on our list for the future newsletters and webinar experiences. So we're getting a lot of questions back and forth. Trey, thank you for answering things online, my friend. You are always a wonder. And I want to thank everyone for being on this. Thank you so much, and hope you have a great day. And if you have any questions, who can they call? Andrew, Holly. We have it online. We have the contacts online on our website, on the OLC site, the Online Leadership Community website. You can go into the member benefits and find D2L, and you'll find the contacts there. So thanks so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.